I always talk about this when I'm talking to my single friends often about how my husband and I met. Wow, over 5 years ago. It's hard to imagine. We just got married last year. And I tell people
Mhm.
I was crying over some guy who really is irrelevant right now. But I thank him for teaching me what I needed to learn in order, to move on and then meet my
Yes,
husband.
yes,
But
yes, absolutely.
yep, I was crying over some guy and I was talking to my mother and she said, Nia, you need to start dating people who share your values. And man, it was
Yes.
like a light bulb went off. And I must say, admittedly, I rarely take advice from my mother. We're just very different. We look at the world very differently. I of course
Right.
honor what she says. However, I don't often use her advice. So, but this time I absolutely heard her loud and clear. And once she said that, I realized I had no idea what my values were. And I knew on the surface that, I'm compassionate. I,
Mhm.
enjoy certain things and I'm driven and whatever. But deep down underneath all of that surface stuff, I had never actually sat
Mhm.
down and asked myself or written down what my values were. And in order, I realized to find somebody who shared my values, I had to identify what they were for me first. So what you just said, it just reminded me of that.
Absolutely. And I mean, that is so true in regards to values. A lot of people may not even know, like you just said, what even their values are. And I would just like to tell your listeners this is a really cool exercise to do. And it does take reflection, but it's pretty simple. You sit down and you start to delete and reset. So
Hmm.
you're going to delete all of the things that you don't need in your life that just actually doesn't serve you. And so whether that's a thing, whether that's someone, that's in your life, a relationship that may be toxic, or perhaps it's you. Maybe it's toxic things about you and things that you need to delete. And then you're going to reset. So now what are the steps that I need to do in order to reset whatever that behavior is? And then you move into the restructure, which is the action of it all. So when you do that, you start to get a very clear picture of who you are and who your surroundings are and how you're choosing relationships.
Can you
So
give
if
us
you
an
had the list,
example, if you don't mind? Would you
mhm,
mind giving like a very
sure.
short example of kind of how you do what you just explained?
Okay. So if let's say that um, I want to delete it, let's say an individual, that every time I talk to this individual, I get off the phone and I just feel drained. And it's just as if that, like I had a whole, and I'm talking about a person that's not even in the profession, that I had a whole counseling session with this person, like every single time they call. They don't serve me in the sense of where they provide me anything healthy. I just feel drained every single time. So then I may have to think about, do I delete the relationship completely, or maybe I delete the relationship for a season because maybe that person, what they're going through, maybe it is just for a season. They're just going through a rough patch. But what if I'm going through a rough patch at the same time? So now I'm helping them more than I'm even helping myself. So maybe I have to delete the relationship for just a season. And I think that that person deserves to have that conversation where you just don't do it and you just cut people off, because that's not fair. But you have
Right.
that conversation. And then maybe the reset is that I now have to set boundaries. So my boundaries is that, you know what, I can't speak to someone in this season of my life until I take care of me. And once I, do my self care and what I need, then maybe I can offer my assistance to that person, like a listening ear, or, giving advice, or being a support for them in whatever capacity that they need, that does not affect me and that makes me feel even more toxic than maybe already what I'm actually going through. And then maybe it's not even that I'm going through something that's maybe toxic or that's really heavy. Maybe it's the fact that I don't have the capacity because I don't have the quality time to be fully present to provide that person with what they need. So that is a part of the reset when you're going through the steps and you're brainstorming into what the restructure should be. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that sounds like it can be very beneficial.